so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You're talking about going into next year, your fourth coach in 4 years. And if you think about it, they were 2-0 NBA Finals, and literally the whole organization just fell off.
I don't really understand what the plan is, right? Like, okay, you fire Budenholzer. What is the plan? Who do you think you're bringing in? What do you think is going to change? We all know the sort of dire financial situation they find themselves in as far as money spent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sport.
Whoa, what do you know, folks? We are live with you here on SportsGrid for another edition of Game Time Decisions on a very, very busy Monday night. Kevin Walsh with you for the next 2 hours as we look to set it up and knock it down. The main events tonight are packed. Two in the NBA with the Knicks and the Pistons at Madison Square Garden. The Nuggets try to go up 2-0 on the LA Clippers. 4-pack on the ice tonight. I think the two big games, it would be game number 1 between Washington and Montreal as Alex Ovechkin in his historic regular season now begin a march in the postseason. And Connor McDavid, a familiar foe, always seemingly matched up with the LA Kings in the playoffs. They get game number 1 of that series underway tonight. We have so much that we get to outside of these games here. Resetting and everything that we saw from the beginning of the NBA playoffs. We have a Major League Baseball board. It starts in just a little bit with the Yankees and the Guardians going head-to-head. If you're a hit-run RBI guy, Aaron Judge, Stephen Kwan, both jumping off the page to me. We'll go through the baseball board in spots. We'll follow it live with you. It is also draft week. That is right. Tonight, we are officially here. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the movement, some of the storylines. Is this Ashton Genty top 5 smoke real? Or are we trying to see if you can manufacture a trade? We'll dissect all of it. Let's begin, though, with the game number 1 from the main event window, which I believe is the Knicks and the Pistons. Knicks were put on upset alert in the opening game of this series by Detroit. They ended up winning the fourth quarter by 19, a 20-plus-0 run, and covering, which was a brutal beat for Detroit backers who thought they were going to see this underdog win outright. The Knicks did it behind Jalen Brunson's 34 points, a fantastic second half for JB, and a defense that stepped up when they needed to most. Detroit did not have it going, with Cade Cunningham shooting 8 of 21 in this basketball game and turning the ball over 6 times. Not that it all falls on Cade, but certainly Detroit's best player will need to be better to give the Pistons a legitimate shot in this one. A big piece of news that did come out, though, around this game, and could be beneficial to a series-long wager that I did play in Knicks Pistons. Isaiah Stewart out tonight. A knee injury is going to cost him this game. We'll see if it costs him this series. But that is going to require Jalen Duren to play significantly more, I think, in this game. Duren played 25 minutes because of foul trouble. But I think the Pistons are going to want to play Jalen Duren significantly more than that anyway. If he stays out of foul trouble, you're looking at 34, 35 minutes a game rest of this series. I played Duren over the 22.5 points plus rebounds because that was a coming into the series wager. I did play that in the game Saturday, didn't get it home, but I'm on it again here with the Stewart news. It's up to 23.5. Still get it there. You can play the double-double at minus 110. Jalen Duren now has an opportunity here to smash his props as long as he stays available for Detroit, and needs to stay out of foul trouble in this one. Series leader markets did pop up on DraftKings a little bit earlier on Sunday. On FanDuel this morning, they came available, and they initially popped Jalen Brunson at minus 125 to lead this series in points. Brunson left game number 1 with 34, what is supposed to be his toughest competitor in Cade Cunningham, only scoring 21. I thought that minus 125 missed the boat. So did bettors. They reacted quicker than I did. They closed those numbers. They've reopened. Brunson is now minus 340 to lead this series in points on FanDuel. That type of run, I agree with. And I think the trust that you have in Jalen Brunson in this series, in that market, is why I think the Knicks tonight will get the job done, and will still get the job done here against the Pistons in somewhat short order. I think the Knicks laying 2 in the first quarter is a really good bet. I think the Knicks will make sure that they enter this game with some of the intensity they closed it with. I don't think this is a group that should be banking on big comebacks to beat what is a Detroit team they shouldn't be messing around with, quite frankly. The Pistons should win 1 game in this series, 2 at the absolute max, and never at Madison Square Garden, which would make covering this game tonight difficult. I want to quickly throw something out to you all here around the Detroit Pistons. They've obviously had this unbelievable season that even the biggest optimist wouldn't have seen coming. 44 wins, didn't even have to be in the play-in. Cade Cunningham's going to make All-NBA, might win Most Improved Player. It is all positive. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to be realistic. If you at this moment were offered a 6.5 win total for the Pistons on playoff wins this postseason and next, would you take over or under? Would you bank on this team winning 7 combined playoff games or more this postseason and next? Maybe you still think they're going to get through the Knicks. That would be an easy over for you. Maybe you say, hey, I'm going to grab a win or 2 here, and next year, you just got to win 1 round. You get 2 wins here. That's 6. Win a game. All good. I would say under that 6.5. I would sell the Pistons meteoric rise. We are at a bit of a peak for now. Unless they make a huge change this offseason that doesn't seemingly right now exist in the cards, the Pistons are still a group, as I watch them here against the Knicks. Who is the bankable second guy in this series or even by the time they get to next year? It's not Duren. I'm all in on the Thompson twins, but Assur's offensive game is far behind his brother and is not where you need it to be. Ron Holland didn't get enough minutes in his rookie season to project to be the number 2 on this team. You can mention Jaden Ivey's absence. I still don't know if I'm fully buying Ivey as a 2 on Detroit. This is a team that is the 6th seed right now, the 5 in front of them, Cleveland, Boston, the Knicks, Indiana, Milwaukee, being better than one of them next year would be remarkable. It ignores the teams behind them who underachieved: Orlando, Miami, Philadelphia. It's just to take a step back and evaluate the Pistons where they are right now. Awesome season. Incredible season. I know I sound doom and gloom. I think I am. I think Detroit will be lucky to win more. I think that the Knicks should be ashamed if they have the Pistons win more than a game in this series. That's the gap in experience. That's the gap in talent. It really is. I don't think the Knicks will be letting Detroit hang around more than necessary in this one. I think they step up tonight. I think they cover the first quarter, but I do think we see Jalen Duren have to play an additional 10 or so minutes unless this is a rout. And tonight, even encroach on that series rebound leader, which is currently around plus 650. We go to Clippers, Nuggets in Denver next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
NBA playoffs are here. Knicks, Pistons, Game 2 will start at 7:30. It'll be followed by Game number 2 in Denver, where the Nuggets and the Clippers will go to battle. Now, this opening game was not all too kind to OK Dubs because Norm Powell hit a 3, down 5 in overtime to cut it to 2, and then they didn't foul with a second left. You could say if I laid 2.5 and it goes to overtime, I didn't deserve a cover, but it was That wasn't my favorite way, as we were just getting into the postseason to watch this one go. But I laid 2.5 in that game. Tonight's number shows the Clippers as -1 favorites, -120 on the money line. What we are seeing in large part, any team who lost the opening game has had the number work in their favor for game 2, with the exception being OKC Memphis. All that took was Oklahoma City winning by 51 points. Outside of that, most of the teams at a deficit are seeing the number move in their favor. So that is why, to me, the side is now uninteresting. I really like Denver to get this series off on the right track and come out with a win. They did. I lost my bet. It is what it is. I expect this to be a long series. One of my everything gets underway bets was at Clippers Nuggets, as well as Rockets Warriors, both to go over 5.5 total games. If Denver wins, I don't think that is in a ton of trouble. If the Clippers win, again, it's on its way. These two teams trading and dancing back and forth with one another. I think one thing, though, from game number 1 that is unlikely to carry over is what we saw from quarters 2 through 4, which was the Game 7 vibe that broke out. Nobody could score. Everyone was on pins and needles, and it just didn't feel comfortable. It was great. We love the playoff intensity, but quarter number 1's 35-27 score for the Clippers could very well be something that we see throughout this game. The books, though, either don't agree or most bettors, and I'm willing to challenge that. A game 1 opening total of 224.5 is now down to 217.5. 7 points of movement off of one game? Yeah, right. Give me the over. Nuggets, Clippers. I think LA specifically will look to push the tempo, attack Nikola Jokic at the rim, force him to defend more and more and more, which we all know is not his strong suit, and we will see the benefits then pay off for the Clippers offense, and that forcing Denver then to have to go a little more. I also think the Nuggets are due for a better three-point shooting performance than the 9 of 27 that they offered up in game number 1, despite being in their own building. One reason we didn't see a ton of made threes from Denver in that opening game was the lack of Michael Porter Jr. MPJ benched for Russell Westbrook, who hit a big three, and then subsequently was completely out of control, but was still out on the court. Saw MPJ only get you 26 minutes, only take 4 field goals in the game. Adelman filling in, went with what was working, and it ultimately worked and resulted in a win. I think there was aspects of it that were maybe a bit stubborn. I thought there were moments they could have said, okay, MPJ, get back out there. They didn't do that. But Michael Porter Jr. is still going to start tonight. We've seen his points prop crumble all the way down to 12.5. Maybe it's getting bet back up in the market, but that's where that number was at last look. Conversely, we've seen Westbrook see his points prop shot up now 10.5, almost 11.5. Took 17 shots in game number 1, Russell Westbrook. I don't think that continues. I'd rather bet on the Porter Jr. overs than the Westbrook unders as someone who's on the over in the game, and wouldn't be that surprised if what is a rookie head coach in Denver leans on Westbrook, who this team will probably credit with a little too much of the game 1 win than they should. He definitely gets some. He hit a monstrous shot. He also was, again, 5 of 17 in this basketball game and a little out of control a lot of the times, or maybe a lot out of control for a little bit of it. It's one of the interesting things that we wait and see throughout this series. The other guys to keep your eye on are just the clear-cut stars of this series, Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. Harden this morning was responsible for a monstrous discrepancy that maybe was just a typo. I tweeted this out to the people at the Kevin Walsh earlier when I noticed that FanDuel reopened their series made threes leader and positioned James Harden at plus 220. Compared to the minus 230 on DraftKings, seemingly something was amiss. I guess it was. Minus 220 is now the Harden number. Whether that was a product of people clicking or, again, somebody slipping the finger, that number has now been corrected. You go to the points leader market, Jokic has also been shot up to minus 250. That surprised me a little bit. I thought we may get a little bit of Jokic value with Harden being game number 1's leading scorer, up 3 on Nikola Jokic, but it appears the lackluster game from Kawhi Leonard, 22 points, only 15 field goal attempts, has shot the Jokic number up. It was my thinking and why I wanted to attack the Joker in this market. I'm fascinated to see what Kawhi gives here. Game number 2, in altitude, just played 41 minutes. Does Kawhi hold up? Kawhi's last 3 games, albeit with a big break in between, 38, 42, 47, and 41 minutes. Even with the week off or so in between game 82 and game number 1 of this series, that's probably one of the more taxing runs Kawhi Leonard has had in his entire Clippers tenure. We'll see if Kawhi holds up in this series. It's questions like that, though, why I still don't view the Clippers as any real threat beyond this series if they are able to get through Denver. Books certainly think so tonight, with, again, positioning them as Game 2 favorites despite being on the road. The winner, of course, will see Oklahoma City. We'll talk more about the Thunder and all of the other series that we've seen thus far, but we shifted over to the NHL postseason, some Major League Baseball as well, next here on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's won a title. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We're with you right here on SportsGrid. It is Game Time Decisions on this Monday night. Yankees had some base runners in the opening inning. No ultimately damage done, though, as the Guardians' Gavin Williams works out of it. It's Clark Schmidt with his second start tonight. We'll get to the rest of the baseball board in just a little bit, but I do want to acknowledge that the NHL postseason is underway. A little more unique of a rollout when it comes to the NHL postseason. They just 2 games on the Saturday. Then they give you 3 on Sunday. Then they give you 4 in a month. I don't know. A little weird. Is what it is. The big ones tonight to me are Washington and Montreal, and then LA Edmonton. Stars are currently down 1-0 to the Avs. Avs were favored in that series. So undoubtedly a must-win for the Stars. Dogs in their home on their home ice tonight. The Jets are up 1-0 against St. Louis. They are supposed to move through this series. They are considerable favorites at home tonight to get the job done. Washington is fascinating to me because, and I'm not saying this negatively, but I do think that the Ovechkin record completely overshadowed the caliber of season the Washington Capitals had. If you look at Washington last year, 91 points. Just barely made the postseason. 20 more points this year, the most in the Eastern Conference, the second most in the entire league. So I'm not saying that all of the Ovechkin coverage and praise was rightful. It's, could you imagine if that all can be carried over then into a deep postseason run? I think that is one of the most interesting storylines of this postseason. Ovi is a plus price to score, but just plus 120, by far the shortest goal scorer number you have in this one. Late night, you have LA and Edmonton, and it has not been the type of year the Oilers were hoping for. I believe they started the year as very short. When I say very short, I mean marginal Cup favorites, though it's so condensed at the top of the NHL Stanley Cup outright market that they maybe have moved back a little bit. It's a team that lost McDavid for, maybe more than they were used to. He only played 67 games. You compare that the prior 3 seasons, 80, 82, 76 played. So you see that it wasn't, he still ended up with a 100-point season because he is Connor McDavid. He didn't lead his team in points, though, which is obviously not a common thing. Speaks to the caliber of Leon Draisaitl. But I think for Edmonton, who is off of last year's incredible Stanley Cup performance, down 3-0, get it all the way back to a Game 7, Connor McDavid is Connor McDavid the best athlete right now in terms of all-time greatness without a championship across the American League sports? I understand Edmonton's in Canada. The only other name that comes to mind is Judge. I mean, as far as the NBA goes, you'd offer up Embiid. NFL, you could throw out Josh Allen. You could throw out Lamar Jackson. I think McDavid ranks much higher in his sport with respect to Josh and Lamar than they do in theirs, all-time legacy-wise. I bring that up because Connor McDavid is going to win a Stanley Cup. Feels like the coldest, there's no heat behind that take. Well, he's 12-1 to do it this year. Typically now, right, he was about, 9 or 8, 9-1 to do it at the beginning of the season. It was a conversation I had with some of our crew at the end of last year's Stanley Cup. If I just bet Connor McDavid's team from now until his career is over to win the Stanley Cup, I have to win one of those bets, don't I? Is it really possible that Connor McDavid would retire without a Stanley Cup? He's only 28, but he's, he's over 10 years into his career. And McDavid is, I would imagine, viewed as one of the 10 best players in the history, 10 best skaters. Is that where he is viewed? I think so. Maybe I'm an outsider. It's one of the most interesting things to me as well with tonight's NHL postseason. We'll talk some hoops with Coach next.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's 1A type. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on a Monday, it is Game Time Decisions. The Major League Baseball board is going right now. You're going to need a 2-out hit here if you have the Yerfie going in Guardians, Yankees. We mentioned the NHL postseason, but it is the NBA postseason. I know for a lot of you has the attention tonight, had the attention throughout the weekend. I'm going to bring in my guy, Coach James Young, here on this Monday night now to talk a little bit about it. We'll get to tonight's games in just a moment. We've talked about them a little bit already. Coach, I want to ask you about what we saw yesterday at the very end of the night, which was Rockets-Warriors. The other 3 games on the Sunday, double-digit favorites. They all did their thing to varying degrees. But Houston and Golden State was a really fascinating game, number one, where the Warriors looked like they were going to completely run away. And then we had ourselves a dogfight late into the fourth quarter. What did you take away from the opener between Houston and Golden State?
Well, let's take it from the Houston side both ways, right? Bad. You can't get outscored by 16 points in the second quarter, and you got to play 48 minutes, Kev, right? If you don't play 48 minutes in the playoffs, you're going to get sent home. You could say the same thing about the Pistons. But what I look at is, for 3 quarters of the game, Houston was as good or better than Golden State. And this comes on the heels of your starting backcourt shooting 2 for 17 from 3. They played awful, Houston, and they still almost came back and stole that game. So if I'm Ime Udoka, I say, hey, we got to play 48 minutes. VanVleet, Jalen Green, you got to knock down shots. You got to be better. And I'm fairly confident that this is going to be 1-1 going back to Golden State.
Yeah, I think that was, for me, I thought some of the people who were on Golden State victory laps while up 20 were silly, and I thought they were proven to be just that with Houston coming back in. I am overly fascinated by Jalen Green now for the rest of this series. Green was awful and somewhat unplayable yesterday. Finishing 3 of 15, nobody will go, man, Jalen Green wasn't aggressive. I promise you he wasn't. He at least wasn't in the ways they need him to be. Jalen Green is the best athlete on just about any court he's on, although not his own team because of Amen Thompson, but he is certainly a better athlete than the guys the Warriors are giving him in terms of a matchup. You do not need a matchup hunt Steph Curry when Brandon Pajemski is on you. In and out, get downhill, and jump over Draymond. I know it sounds simple. It kind of is. not up fake everything and then take a 19-footer. Just the decision-making was so bad, and I know it's a playoff debut, and I know the book already kind of seems to be out that Jalen Green isn't a winning player, but this is a series. This team in Golden State got an awesome Steph Curry game and a really, really good Jimmy Butler game, and it turned into a close one out of nowhere. Despite the backcourt giving you, my goodness, man, 7 of 34 shooting, which is Jalen Green and FVV. To me, the FVV stuff, I almost don't even want to go down that pathway because of how angry I'm going to get. There's no reason for Jalen Green to be this bad in this series, Coach.
No, there isn't. And I think you make a good point. And you and I talked about this on Saturday night when we talked about getting going, right? What do? You drive the ball to the basket, you force the referee to make a call, you go to the free throw line, and you hit a couple of free throws. That's all Jalen Green had to do. And he panicked. And that's what happens in you get in this spot. You panic. I'm curious to see what the numbers are going to be for his points prop, because I think you're going to get a major bounce back game out of Jalen Green. And I don't think he complicates it. And I don't think Ime complicates it. And I think when you said it best. Steph was unreal. Jimmy, really, really good. Even Podziemski, pretty good, 14 points. And they still almost lost. And the backcourt was awful. I mean, the only one that was actually really good was Şengün. And he had, 5 turnovers himself. So even he wasn't great. He was good, not great. I wouldn't be surprised, Kevin, and this may be a wild take, that they don't not only win game 2, that they roll them. Like, I'm talking about 10, 12 plus. They beat them going away in game number 2.
The other question I'll throw at you off of yesterday's slate, and I'll do some of this kind of solo style in a little bit later on in our show. And don't forget, BATR podcast as well. Coach has been doing an excellent job all season long, of course. So make sure you check that out. I'm sure, you'll get into all of this, JY. A team wins by 51. I know the answer is always, it takes both. But for you, is the 131-80 victory for Oklahoma City over the Memphis Grizzlies more about OKC or Memphis?
It's more about Memphis. They were completely non-competitive. Your top 3 players were awful. Awful. Folks, they won by 51 and SGA wasn't even good. SGA standards. They looked like a team that's going to get swept. And they look like a team that's done. John looks like a guy that wants to get moved in the offseason. It was such a beatdown of epic proportion. And see, what I can at least say is, like, Houston, competed, trying to come back, right? Milwaukee, they were missing Dame. I'm not counting them, right? Miami, in it for 3 quarters. Orlando kept Boston at 103. They just couldn't get anything besides Balcaro and Wagner to score. This game was non-competitive from the jump. And that showed me all I needed to know and why Taylor Jenkins was fired. Probably still was a bad move. I'll wait till after the season. And why, Kevin, we talked about it Saturday. Someone's getting moved. And it's going to be Ja. And the discussion.
So, OKC is maybe the greatest team in the history of the NBA at abusing bad teams. To me, this game, plus how they close the regular season, kind of confirms that Memphis is just a bad team. I am not taking away from Oklahoma City. They don't need any more praise their direction. I agree with Coach's assessment, though, that if you are Memphis, this should never happen. And when you pair it with the atrocious vibes that are around this team, it is about Memphis more than anything else. And you mentioned Ja being dealt. This is one of the rare teams I cannot imagine there is a single thing off the board. I'm not saying they will trade Jaren Jackson Jr. People yesterday were really hard on Triple J. I think that's fine, but it is also, again, not, you don't lose by 51 because of a guy, right? It's Jaren Jackson can't abuse Caruso in the post. No, we got a lot more going on than just that. Desmond Bane, I don't know, Scottie Pippen Jr. felt like he played the entire first half to me. Like, that was just too much. The coaching situation, not a great way to get the interim tag removed and become the full-time guy, losing by 51. It feels as if what could already be a really wild NBA offseason, Memphis might be one of the captains of that. We're coming up against the break. When we get right back here, Knicks Pistons game 2, Nuggets Clippers game 2 with Coach James Young. Can LA avoid going down 0-2 to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray? We'll ask Coach on the other side of this quick commercial break.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's 1A type. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here, and we are on SportsGrid's Game Time Decisions. It is a Monday night. I'm Kevin Walsh. I'm with Coach James Young. I'm giving you my action for these games tonight. Knicks Pistons, Nuggets Clippers. We'll reset that, but let's hear from Coach. Coach, talk to me. It's New York. It's Detroit. What do you like in game number 2 at Madison Square Garden?
I'm concerned that this game took the wind out of Detroit's sails. They threw their best punch. Shout out to JB Bickerstaff. We talked about it, benching Cade Cunningham. Good job. That's the kind of thing that got you fired from the Cavs. But I'm taking the Knicks minus the points. It was 6.5, went up to 7, down to 6.5. I think this is just going to be a tough spot for a young team that I don't know is going to be able to respond. I'm not expecting Tim Hardaway and Tobias Harris to give you those fantastic performances. So I'm going for the Knicks minus the 6.5. Malik Beasley, it was 14.5 up to 15.5, over 6 in the last 10, 3 out of 4. He is the guy, Kevin, I don't think is scared of the moment. and will hit big shot after big shot. I also think Brunson guards him a little bit. So I'm looking at Malik Beasley over the 14.5, now 15.5 points. I think it's that even money on FanDuel. And last, Yato Sabe, big cat, big meow, big whatever you call him. He will have a big night. Over 23.5 and even money over 10 in the last 15, 3 in the last 5. They put Tobias Harris on. They were talked about in the broadcast why they were not getting this guy the ball. He's going to get the ball a lot. He's going to be effective. Remember, he started the game, I think, with no points in the first quarter. Yato Sabe, big cat, over 23.5 points.
I'm on the Knicks. I'm laying 2 in the first quarter. I do like Jalen Duren. The absence of Isaiah Stewart makes me like it a little bit more. Actually makes me like it a lot more. The number didn't move all that much. Could help Duren possibly in the series rebound market. Where that would not be the case is if this is a Knicks blowout or he can't stay out of foul trouble. He was not able to stay out of foul trouble in game number 1. Nuggets, Clippers, JY. Denver, a dog in this one. It looks like a lot of people just betting, Clippers aren't going to go down 0-2. That's where we get them. -1.5 in some spots number on LA. What do you like here?
Listen, when you lose a big lead, it depends if it's a young team or old team, right? The reason why I went the Knicks is because of the big lead that the lead that they lost. Obviously, with Detroit, I think it's going to affect them in game 2. I think it's the flip side with the Clippers. They were far better for a majority of the game. It got tight, stupid turnovers. Brody hits a big 3. You live with it. They lose in overtime. I'm on the Clippers on the money line tonight. I expect this to be a zigzag series. Go back, bing, 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 bing. It's going to be 1-1 coming out of it. Ty Lue, too good of a coach. Maybe takes advantage of some adjustments. I like the Clippers on the money line. I like James Harden double-double. 6 straight games, 3-5 versus Denver. I don't think Brown or anyone else, especially Murray, can stop him. I think he gets in the lane and they force him to kick out. Expect a little bit better play to Norman Powell tonight as well. I like James Harden double-double. And Michael Porter Jr. over 12.5 points. Over 12 in the last 15. 5-7 versus the Clippers. Aaron Gordon comes back down to reality. Michael Porter Jr. steps up. MPJ over 12.5 points.
I wanted to ask you about MPJ. I think it's very interesting, JY, how Westbrook hits the big shot in the fourth quarter. And that's great. He scored 9 in the fourth quarter, 15 for the game, props 10.5 tonight. Him hitting that shot then all of a sudden gives him a full green light. He plays all of overtime. I get they win. I think the Nuggets would be playing a very dangerous game if they decide that Michael Porter Jr. is going to play 10 less minutes a game in this series than Russell Westbrook. It seems like you agree.
Yeah, I think you have to get this guy involved. This is a stretch 4. He's such a dynamic scorer, and he's one of these kids that when he starts knocking down shots, he's a difference maker. He can get hot. He's got a good shot. He's a sneaky good rebounder. If you want to look at 18.5 points plus rebounds, I ain't mad at you if you want to go that direction. He's got to play a pivotal role. Part of the reason why Malone got let go is for his affinity for Russell Westbrook. I know some of these guys like Michael Porter Jr. That's why they haven't traded him yet. Let the kid play. He'll go over 12.5 tonight.
My other question, or I guess I'm just throwing it out there. I really want to see how Harden plays tonight. This is a series he should be great in. Harden closed the regular season playing fantastic basketball, averaging double-digit assists, averaging 30 points a game, shooting better than 50% from the floor. But Harden in the postseason usually follows efficient 30-point games with sub-20-point performances. But he should be great in the series. If Harden is great again tonight, then I will, and assuming then they win the game, if that does happen, then I would say the Nuggets would be in some trouble, Coach.
Yeah, they would be in some trouble. And listen, I get your point of great game stinker, but I think the assists are going to be there. So that's why I went double-double instead of points plus assists. Because if I get a 5 for 18 James Harden game, I still think he gets the assist, K-Dub, and I hit the double-double. To me, it's a safer bet to go double-double with Harden to go points, assists, or points, rebounds, and assists in case you get a stinker shooting the ball.
Yeah, I think Harden contributing in other areas is more likely. And, Coach, before I let you go, let me just throw something at you quick. Cooper Flagg, officially declared. Duke, on some of those way too early rankings, 9, 10, second best title odds. Do you think those title odds are just there's just Duke love? People don't realize how good the Boozers are? Do people maybe think, okay, Cooper's gone, but maybe Con Knipple will come back? There's a disconnect there.
Well, Knipple declared as well.
Okay.
Walsh is the only one that hasn't declared. But I think what you're going to get is, he's definitely going to. The Boozer twins are for real. You have enough other guys coming back, and I think they're getting over the hump. By the way, I will say this. This kid, Cooper Flagg, is the best American-born basketball player since LeBron James. I'm telling you right now, the kid is going to be great. Since dressing LeBron, he's going to have that kind of impact, I think, in the league.
It's going to be fun to watch Cooper Flagg's career play out. Maybe a future Wizard. Coach, appreciate it as always. We'll talk some Major League Baseball next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's 1A type. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, let's talk that baseball. Couple of things. One, okay, the biggest story in at minimum baseball betting today is Nick Castellanos. I want to talk about this, but I don't want to make light of it, which is a little. I'm trying to thread a needle here. Today, the Pope passed away, and when something like that happens, when there is a worldwide, tragic type of thing, the end result then is people bet Nick Castellanos to home run. That's what happens. And today's news, with then a tweet storm like no other, has positioned Nick Castellanos to home run as a seemingly huge liability for sports books. It has moved his home run prop quite significantly, and it is legitimately not based on anything other than word of mouth started by the Pope passing away. I don't know anything else like this. Like, sometimes we talk about where, trends go public, and like if you hear, if you hear someone, and you'll know, right, who's like not very online, give you like, hey, did you know that the Packers have lost 7 straight Thursday night road games? Like, whoa, total wheel. All right, so we got a Packers by a lot tonight, right? This is just a completely different animal, and I guess we wait and see if Nick Castellanos hits a home run tonight. Going up against Tyler McGill. I kind of like the Phillies in the game at a plus price, but maybe Aaron Nola is washed. The early returns, washed. 4 starts, 4 losses, 6.65 ERA. Not great. Not great if you are the Philadelphia Phillies. He also kind of, for a little bit now, has been doing like an every other year thing. So he never had an ERA above a 4 until 2021. So the season before that, it was a 3.28. Then 2021, a 4.63. Then it's a 3.25, 4.64. Last year, really nice, a 3.57. Probably going to be a down year for Aaron Nola. Not a down year for Fernando Tatis and the Padres. They've already scored against Detroit. They were a dog up against the Tigers heading into this game. We'll see how it ultimately finishes. The first man is on for Detroit. But Fernando Tatis, if the season ended today, would win MVP unanimously in the National League, I think. Maybe you would say Corbin Carroll. You don't want to throw a Pete Alonso vote out there. I'd listen to it. Kyle Tucker's been good. You know who would get no votes? None. Unless there's just like some inherent bias in there. Ohtani. He would get no votes. Yet is still the favorite to win NL MVP. Is Ohtani... Now, the numbers moved backwards, right? But a 277 batting average, 6 home runs, 8 RBIs, and 5 steals while playing DH legitimately doesn't have, I know it's April 21st, a single case. Is the idea around Ohtani winning NL MVP, well, eventually he'll just throw some pitches and then that's enough? How many innings does he need to throw? Are we still banking like Ohtani come June is going to be the 5th, or he's going to be like, what, the 9th rotation guy for the Dodgers? Like, I know going against Ohtani is like a scary thing. It should have been going against Judge, minus 350. He's already working the batting average back up to 400. I think the NL MVP market's fascinating. And Judge wouldn't be minus 350, by the way, if they only gave out one MVP league-wide. Because you do have guys having phenomenal seasons. It's just a lot of them are in the National League. But also one of them is not Ohtani. Really interesting races. We're going to talk to Joe Madden around the NHL playoffs next.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's 1A type. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
As the saying goes, let's do that hockey. Kevin Walsh with you here on Game Time Decisions. We are joined by Joe Madden. Joe, it is great to see you. It's great to talk some playoff hockey. I want to run to it with Washington and Montreal about to drop the puck very soon here. Ovechkin's first game of this postseason. What are you expecting tonight in the nation's capital?
This is going to be a great series between these two teams, Kevin. You're looking at a Montreal Canadiens team that had to fight so scrappy to be able to be here, getting that wild card spot. And then you've got the Washington Capitals, who really wrapped it up early, didn't have those meaningful games down the stretch, other than looking for Ovi to break that record. So I do think there's a chance for the Montreal Canadiens to come out here in the first period and pull off some sort of upset, at least in that first period. But the veteran presence here of the Washington Capitals, I think they get it done at the end of the day. So I think it's a great live market betting situation if you like the Washington Capitals coming back in on them after that first period. But I'm looking at Montreal in the first. I'm going to take Montreal a couple of ways in the first. You could put a third of a unit on each of these bets because I've got 3 different ways to take it. I do like them just to score a goal in the first period. It doesn't matter what happens with the Washington Capitals as long as Montreal scores a goal, that bet will hit. It's coming in juicy at right around minus 140. Then you can look at the Washington and Capitals to come back and get the win. But then I also like Montreal in the first period on the money line, coming in at plus 124. And then Montreal in that first period to score the first goal. That's coming in at plus 160. I do think Montreal, with their youth, with their speed, have to come out. They have to strike first. And we're looking here at Logan Thompson. He has been out since April 2nd with an upper body injury. I don't know how at 100% he's at for this game. And we know that time off for goaltenders can equal rust in that first period. So look for Montreal to strike first, but the Washington Capitals to end up winning this one. I do think 4-2 style game here. I'd look at Ovi for the anytime goal, Dylan Strome for the assist, and then Nick Suzuki to be able to convert on the power play out there for the Montreal Canadiens.
Joe, I'm curious how you see Washington's big picture outlook. I said this at kind of, earlier on in our show tonight. Everything around Washington was around the record, and understandably, this team had the second most points in the entire league. Do you feel they are a true threat to win the Cup this year?
Yeah, they absolutely are. You look at this team and you look at their offensive output to start. This team is averaging 3.49 goals per game. They can get there. That power play conversion is right around that 23.5%. And then you also look at the defensive side. Now, Logan Thompson's done such a stellar job between the pipes. And I do think Charlie Lindgren, a really strong backup goaltender if he does go down. But you also look at the defense and you look at their ability to get those blocked shots. So the second best team in the league for blocking those shots. That defense can locked down, only allowing 2.79 goals per game. My issue with the Washington Capitals is if they don't stay healthy. They've got great playmakers out here, but we do have the age of the playmakers in this series and on the team as a whole. So you've got to wonder how long that they can sustain that energy out there, because you look at Ovechkin, you look at Portis, you look at Tom Wilson, John Carlson, great players, but these are the older side of the team.
Joe, what do you think about Winnipeg tonight? Already up a game in this series, considerable favorites to go up another game here against St. Louis. Is it all Winnipeg in game number 2?
You know what? I really think it is, Kevin. And it pains me a little bit to say that, because I look at the St. Louis Blues and I love their path and how they were able to get here. I do think Jordan Binnington is a competent goaltender, and I look at their playmakers. Robert Thomas, probably one of the most underrated centers in the whole league, but I think they're coming up against a brick wall with the Winnipeg Jets. We looked at that last game, and Winnipeg was able to walk away with the win, and I know St. Louis pushed them into that third period with the lead 3-2, but the Winnipeg Jets winning at 5-2 or 5-3 at the end of the day, they proved that they, even though they didn't play great hockey all of that game, were still able to get the win. And I think the St. Louis Blues, on the other hand, played their best hand in that first game. So I do think the Winnipeg Jets have the possibility of getting the sweep. I looked at the under 5.5 today. It was coming in at -104 for this series to go under 5.5 games. And I really do think it's the way it's going to happen. I had expected the Blues to pick up game number 1, giving them their best chance to get a win in that game number 1 with the momentum. But now I do think the Winnipeg Jets answer the next 3 games and probably sweep it. But I would take it the under 5.5 just in case St. Louis is able to pick up 1 win once it goes back to St. Louis. But tonight, it's all about the Winnipeg Jets. That being said, Jordan Binnington's still going to be peppered in this game. Look for him to go over 23.5 save shots on goal. I expect at least 30 shots on his net by the Winnipeg Jets. I'm going to look for that first period to be a lot cleaner. The under 1.5 goals in the first period, Kevin, at -124, which I know 4 goals in game 1, but neither goaltender, neither team wants to play like that.
Joe, Colorado has moved up throughout this season to the second best odds at the moment to win the Stanley Cup, best odds of any team in the West, favored at Dallas. Do you think that's the right price?
Yeah, it really is the right place for the Colorado Avalanche here today. And in the series, I think they're a much stronger team than the Dallas Stars, especially with the injuries Dallas is facing. And you look at them coming down the stretch, they just weren't able to get things done, weren't able to get those wins. And it really proved in that last game they couldn't keep up with the speed of the Colorado Avalanche. You look at those power plays and what Colorado was able to do. The lone goal did come for the Dallas Stars on the power play by Rupe Hintz, but the Avs, they dominated in the second and third period. And I do think we're going to see a very similar game in this one. I'm going to take the Avs team total over 3.5 goals. It's something we're seeing, Kevin. We're seeing the Dallas Stars defensively allowing those goals to come in. And when you look at Colorado and you look at their speed in transition, Nathan McKinnon and Martin Necas, they just bring that speed out there on the ice. And I think they're going to be flying again tonight. So I'll look at the Avs team total over 3.5 for them to take this one back to Colorado up 2-0 in the series.
It's going to be really interesting to see if Colorado is as dominant. I think on the surface, starting on the road, if they get through this one, those prices are going to become even more and more impactful, I think, when you talk about the futures market. Joe, we'll end with Edmonton and Connor McDavid. Dogs here against the Kings, a familiar round 1 opponent for this group. What do you expect from McDavid and the Oilers in game number 1?
I'm expecting the Edmonton Oilers to be super frustrated after tonight. Look at this LA Kings team defensively to come out so strong at home, be able to take away the center of the ice and force Edmonton to play along the boards, which is something they don't want to do. I don't think Edmonton's going to be able to get those breakaways in transition on this team. This defensive-minded team out here will shut down the Edmonton Oilers offense, in my opinion. And then we've got the difference maker in between the pipes this year, Darcy Kemper here for the LA Kings. I really do think he's in for an outstanding night. You can take him over 24.5 save shots on goal. I like the Kings to get the win straight up on the money line. It's worth a sprinkle, Kevin, on that puck line laying 1.5 because of the empty netter at 205 or plus 205. I'll look at Leon Draisaitl for the anytime goal. Can't deny him out there. He's coming in at plus 120. And then Quinton Byfield on the other side and Kempe. You're looking at Kempe at plus 195 for an anytime goal.
Man, if McDavid is eliminated in round 1, Joe, things get interesting this offseason, or it feels like something I don't know. Feels like something to watch.
Right? But yeah, I think they go. I think they go in this first round. This is a different LA Kings team, and watch for this team. This team could go very deep if they're able to get past the Edmonton Oilers.
All right, well, we'll keep our eyes on it. We appreciate the help, as always, from Joe Madden. We'll talk some NFL draft next right here on SportsGrid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Oh, we're so back right here on a Monday night. Let's update you on the Major League Baseball board. It's 4-0 Guardians. Home run for J-Ram, made it 3-0. Manzardo had a great spring. It's continued a little bit into the regular season with the pop at least, as they're up now 4-0 on the Yankees. It's 2-0 for South Beach's finest. That's the Miami Marlins up on the 500 Reds. Tigers did take the lead back on the Padres. This one could be high scoring, though, as 2 on and nobody out already for San Diego. We just get underway in New York with the Mets and the Phillies. 7:15, it's going to be Schwellenbach on up against Fetty in Atlanta. St. Louis Braves trying to get some momentum. They found it a little bit by sweeping the Minnesota Twins at home. The Twins appear to be terrible. Astros, Blue Jays with Hunter Brown as a decent favorite up against those Toronto Blue Jays. Stros looking to get back to 500. They'll need a win to do just that. Brewers and Giants late night. Some respected money on Milwaukee. We will see how the Giants can hold up back at home after a little bit of a road trip in their most recent outings. That's where things are for the Major League Baseball board. We'll update you on the ice. We'll update you with the NBA. I do want to talk a little NFL draft. We are here on the Monday of draft week. And there are a lot of fascinating storylines starting to develop around this draft. Shedeur Sanders continues to be the most fascinating. If you look right now, I think that Shedeur, if he feels like the only guy that could possibly go 3 or 34, but that seems to be the current range for Shedeur Sanders at this moment, at least. But it is almost too confusing to spend too much time on. What I'm really fascinated by over the last 24 to 48 hours is the Ashton Genty Jaguars buzz that is hitting a fever pitch now in the market. Draft season brings out some Twitter sources, and because we are always looking for the edge, you kind of got to follow along with them. Maybe there's something there. And some of those are even throwing the Genty out there. Some respect it as well. It's not just that. Dane Brugler of The Athletic mocked Genty at 5 overall. And the market's responding to be a top 5 pick plus 180, to go 5th overall specifically plus 190. You see that over-under draft position there. Is will Genty be a top 6 pick? Many have thought for a while that at pick 6 we would see Genty go to the Vegas Raiders. This is where the Jaguars come in. Jacksonville trading back sounds about right. This draft class is viewed as having an elite clear-cut top 3. Cam Ward at the quarterback position, followed by Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. The market believes that those 3 will go off of the board within the first 3 picks. There's an overwhelming belief that Will Campbell will go 4. We don't need to get into that right now. But a team drafting 5th, if they are open to drafting in multiple avenues, with I think Jacksonville is. I think Jacksonville's open to the defensive line. I think they're open to the wide receiver position. I think they're open to an offensive lineman if one makes sense. I think that they are absolutely willing to go in a number of directions. So if you're out of range of the most elite players, trading back sounds ideal. Takes 2 to tango. And the team that we are hearing a lot about, or the team that is connected to Genty outside of the Raiders, is the Chicago Bears. That was a connection that I personally, I could see the Bears trying to draft Genty, luxury type of pick. Maybe it'll help just, settle in that offense. He's an elite running back. There's, and then they bring in Ben Johnson. It's like, oh, they're going to draft Genty. But then the Raiders, they bring in Pete Carroll. They bring in Chip Kelly. And it's like, oh, they're taking Ashton Genty. And what's happened in recent weeks is we've seen some cooling on the Genty Raiders stuff. We've heard, it's just not Genty. Oh, they love Membu, Tet McMillan, right? Will Johnson we heard about. So there's been some cooling on that, while the Raiders or the Jaguars are upping the Genty stuff. Now, are the Raiders cooling on Ashton Genty because it's not ultimately going to be the pick? So they don't want their fan base to have their hearts set on someone who won't be there? Maybe. Are the Raiders cooling on the Genty love because they want Chicago to think they can sit at 10 and Genti will fall to them as opposed to needing to trade up to number 5? Maybe as well. If you're the Raiders and you like Genti that much and you're concerned about what Chicago is going to do, you could likely trade up to 6 or to 5 and make that pick. It feels like at this moment, Genti going 5, I would maybe feel more confident in than who is drafting number 5. And I also think this becomes one of the fun things with draft betting. But there's the odds to go 10 overall is up, where Genti's the favorite, under the guidelines of it's Chicago picking, and if he is on the board, every single person expects that that will be a very easy decision for Chicago. What if it is Jacksonville at 10? Who then becomes the pick? Is it Michael Williams of Georgia? Is it Tet McMillan of Arizona? Is there a faller in this draft? All stuff we're trying to figure out. It is draft week. We'll be back right here on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's 1A type. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid. Game Time Decisions. I do not bow at the altar of Shohei Ohtani, and it really upsets my producers. It really bothers them. Well, most of them. There's a segment of them that are just watching Mets Phillies, wondering if Pete Alonso will homer in his first at bat, and if he doesn't, it essentially means every bet is lost. Shout out to Casino Chris. I'm going to stick on this Ohtani, and it is essentially an Ohtani Judge thing, which I will admit there is a level of that within it. Ohtani, what he did last year obviously warranted winning National League MVP. Ohtani is a incredibly unique player who, with relative health, will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Ohtani entered the season under plus 150 to win his league's MVP. Judge wasn't even the favorite. Ohtani last year, in winning MVP, stole 59 bases. His prior career high was 26. He hit 54 home runs. His prior career high was 46. He had 130 RBI. His prior career high was 100. I understand he was on the Dodgers. I don't think it is crazy to tell you, though, that if Shohei Ohtani finished this season with 40 home runs, 100 RBIs, and 30 steals, which would be an incredible year, I don't think that's a slight. That is also, though, not going to see him run away with the MVP. It's not. One of the benefits to Ohtani running away with the MVP last year was Acuna, the preseason favorite, getting hurt right away, and Mookie Betts, who became the in-season favorite for the early portions, also getting injured. Ohtani had really no competition in the NL last year. He would have likely won it even with great competition. He had that type of season. That is the reason that Judge is currently minus 350. Judge would be favored to win the award right now, regardless of what anybody else was doing within reason. But his minus 350 is because the fourth option to win the award is Mike Trout, who I love Mike Trout. One, he's batting 184, but he's obviously, the power is all there. But two, please don't make me do the games played with Mike Trout thing. I'd rather not. Nobody wants that. So, again, call me crazy. Ohtani won't go 50-50 this year. Doesn't feel that spicy. And I think the preseason numbers that suggested he was going to very clearly win NL MVP up until this point have been proven wrong. And if health holds for some of these top guys, he is absolutely going to have to take the mound in order to win it. Yordan Alvarez never gets in the conversation. Now, Yordan can't steal bases the way Ohtani does. But also what Ohtani did last year in terms of swiping bases, it's not crazy to wonder if it was a one-off. His next closest season was 26. His 3 seasons leading into the 59 stolen base season, he stole 57. Across 3 seasons combined, playing a ton of baseball in all of those games. Ohtani doesn't need more praise. He gets it all. So we don't need to just be like, he's on pace for 50-50, when he's absolutely not on pace for 50-50. And then, when you in the back go, well, what if he hits 2 home runs and steals 3 bases next game? Okay. Well, then what are we doing? What are we doing? What we're doing is we're laying 2 at the Knicks in the first quarter. We're laying 2 at the Knicks in the first quarter. Man, I tell you, it'd be fun to get a couple of microphones for this crew. I don't know. We might be working on it. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's 1A type. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with right here. It is Game Time Decisions. We'll talk to Tom Vecchio in a little bit on this Monday evening. I thought we could just do kind of a rapid-fire roundup of the 6 series that we will not be featuring tonight in the NBA. We'll have 3 of them on tomorrow, and then your Wednesday crown, you'll get the other 3. But just kind of some takeaways. We'll do a little chronological order. Pacers-Bucks. Indiana absolutely rolled Milwaukee. The Bucks offensively had nothing outside of Giannis. Kyle Kuzma did not record a statistic in 22 minutes outside of missed shots, which was a full-on nightmare. Now, Damian Lillard is questionable. Damian Lillard could very well be back in Game 2. I think there's now a lot of expectation he will be back in Game number 3. I think Damian Lillard coming back is, I think the most important element of that is it gives Giannis the chance to play a playoff game or 2 or 3 with Lillard before he decides what he's going to do this offseason. As I said on our show Saturday, I do not know that the Bucks owe Giannis. If he says, I want out, I don't know if they owe him that. They have done, they being the Milwaukee Bucks, whatever he's wanted. The Lillard trade, the Kuzma trade, firing Budenholzer, firing Adrian Griffin. They have done whatever Giannis has wanted for a long time now. So if they say, hey, listen, like you are still going to yield a lot of power here, but we are not getting rid of you, I think that would be totally fair from Milwaukee. But I think Giannis wants playoff reps with Lillard before making that decision. I do not think that Dame coming back will put Milwaukee in the driver's seat in this series. I don't think it will result in a win in this series. I have noticed the series leader markets have locked around this one, at least on FanDuel they have, due to the Dame question marks, and I think that is totally fair. If Lillard plays in Game 2 and those markets come available, he will be a fascinating, a truly, truly fascinating player to see priced into the made threes market. The pre-series favorite, Tyrese Halliburton, ended the game with 0. So he would be at the same starting point as Lillard. AJ Green, the favorite, or not the favorite, but AJ Green is at 5 made threes. And Miles Turner is at 4. A few other We have Clippers Nuggets tonight. We have Knicks Pistons. Lakers Timberwolves. So I took Minnesota to win game number 1. Lakers to win the series. It was a plus 500, the series double. So I now have the Lakers at plus 500 to win the series. I do not know why that number was so extended on one book. It was over 4-1 on another. I think it was a bit of a miscalculation. The Lakers to win this series after the loss is a plus price, but it is plus 114. That is a far cry from 5-1 or 4-1 or 3-1. And it was just well off, I think the number was. The question is for the Lakers, how much panic is there coming off of that game? I do not think that much. Now, if they lose game 2, obviously, I do not think that they will lose game number 2. The Lakers, when they won the championship with LeBron, in the bubble, so there was no home court advantage, so the Lakers would have actually had home court in those, but no home court advantage, so losing game 1, not as damaging. But they lost game number 1 in the first 2 rounds. They won both of those rounds in 5 games. I think the thing to watch in this series is Rudy Gobert. I said I felt that Minnesota would be at their most dangerous in their small ball bomb threes lineups. Nailed it. 21 of 42, Naz Reid 6 of 9. That won't happen again. Jaden McDaniels 11 of 13 from the field probably will never happen again in his career. That's okay. Not slight, just real. But Rudy Gobert playing as little as he did was a product of foul trouble, but it worked. At least I think it was a product of foul trouble, I should say. So now we wait and see, what do the Gobert minutes look like in this upcoming matchup? If I were the Timberwolves, again, I don't know if I'm fully tapping out on Gobert playing in the series. And they may have a little bit more of a luxury in that regard now that they've won game number 1 to settle Gobert into this series. We'll find out how they approach it. Oklahoma City destroying Memphis. We talked about this with Coach. I really do think that Memphis pressing the eject button on anything is on the board at the end of this season. Oklahoma City beating teams by a ton is what they have done all year. It really is. They destroy teams. They do. And the only team I would consider picking against them, I do believe, would be the Lakers. That's who I think will be in the Western Conference Finals. I threw this out earlier in our show around Detroit. Playoff win total this postseason next year, 2 years. I said 6.5 is the number. I'll throw the same one out to you for Oklahoma City. 24.5 next 2 years. You need 16 to win a title. You like them to win the title, you probably like that over. Something to think about around OKC. Boston down at the break still covers the 14-point number. That was annoying. Losing a Jason Tatum playoff bet, that is normal. That is comfortable. That is home. That's what I know. I am still tempted in JT to lead this series in scoring. Paolo will have a down game for sure. Tatum won't be atrocious in every game. The question is, will this be the worst game Tatum plays in this series? Me not being sure the answer to that is yes, is why he's not one of the 3 best players in the world. He's never a legitimate MVP candidate, no matter how many games his team wins. It's how he ended up not winning Conference Finals MVP and Finals MVP last year. You can blame voters all you want. He does it to himself. 17 points on 8 of 22 shooting. Padded some of those numbers in the fourth quarter. 1 of 8 from 3. You're never going to be best player in the world doing that. You're never going to be best player in the world when you can set your watch to him having a bad game in every single series he plays in his postseason career. Still true. Couldn't get out of game number 1. Off of last year's postseason. Couldn't get out of game number 1 without a bad game. That's Jason Tatum. We already did Warriors and Rockets. Here's my thing with Cleveland and Miami. Cavs, I picked them to win the championship. I already have a regret. I said I didn't pick them to sweep the Heat. I now will be surprised if Miami wins a game. I know, I respect Heat culture. I respect Eric Spoelstra. I thought Spoelstra was terrible throughout the regular season. I think he completely escaped blame for all of their huge blown leads that were a huge part of what went wrong for them. They are not as good as Cleveland. Offensively, they cannot hang. And I think the Cavs just have way too much. I think the Cavs have way too much. And their title price dropped from Saturday to Sunday. I thought it should. They are, in this moment, the keep throwing free bet team for me until it's under 5-1, probably. Although a lot of those could also get tossed back into the series leaders markets, which, to pull it back to Jason Tatum. I mean, look, plus 400 to lead that series in scoring. This guy's going to ruin my playoffs before we even get out of round one, huh? That's Jason Tatum for you, though. We'll take a break. We'll update you on the hardwood, the ice, the diamond with Tom Vecchio next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's 1A type. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Early Knicks lead, early. 10-9, whoop, make it 12. We got a cat basket at the next timeout. We'll update you on some of the box score items. 5-0 Guardians, 4-2 Tigers, 2-0 Metsies, 2 early ones for St. Louis, a 2-0 early Miami. A lot of 2-0s right now on the baseball board. The NHL season, the postseason action right now is goalless. Tom Vecchio joins us here. Tom, a smorgasbord of sports. Are you on the board right now, or are some of your favorites still waiting to get underway?
Well, thanks for having me. I had Clark Schmidt under 4.5 strikeouts. That's dead. He racked up 6 strikeouts against one of the more disciplined teams in the league on the slate. It may be up to 7. I don't even know. Gave up after he hit that. I am on Pistons Knicks under 220.5. I'm on that. I'm also on the over for the first game between Capitals and Canadiens.
What do you make of Washington in the NHL playoffs? I'm really fascinated this is a team with Alex Ovechkin. I mean, we talk about, stars of the sport. Based on the season, none bigger than Ovi. Do you feel that Washington is a legitimate threat to make a Stanley Cup final?
Depends on who they play. I think that's the real answer. And they have to have a lot of things go right for them. I think they can get past the Canadians, but my take on this is they need to put the Canadians away quickly. If you let them hang around, it's going to be an issue. In the second round, they can beat the Canes. It also won't be easy. It comes down to, if they're playing Tampa or if they're playing Florida. And either one's going to be a tough matchup. I would personally prefer to see them play Tampa because I don't think they can beat Tampa. I have a Tampa ticket at 17-1.
Now, late night, it's Edmonton and LA. I think my McDavid to win the Cup every year conversation was with you, at least to some degree. Yeah. Again, just the simple idea, having never done it before, if I bet from now until he retires, McDavid, whichever team he's on to win the Cup, I better win one. Off of last year making the Cup final, they're a round one dog. What do you make of everything surrounding McDavid's team heading into this postseason?
They're not getting out of the first round. Wow. That's been my take for a while. They're extremely injured right now. They were granted a few extra days, despite the fact that the playoffs started on Saturday. And there are game 2s going on tonight between Colorado and Dallas. They have their game 1 on a Monday night, and don't know why they didn't play yesterday. Point notwithstanding, they're not making it past the first round. They're just extremely injured, and the Kings team is finally going to get some vengeance after losing to them in 3 straight first rounds over the past 3 years. The Kings have a very, very solid team, as I've talked with Mike Carver about it and Dave Sherapan and Scott Wenzel about it. The Kings are a team that are greater than the sum of their parts. They don't have a superstar, but they have a lot of really good players, and they're going to give the Oilers a fit. I think they get it done in 6 or 7.
It's fascinating, man. It's I know hockey's a different sport, but I said this. Tom, give me roughly. McDavid is a what best player in the history of hockey? Skaters only. Let's throw the goaltenders out.
4.
Oh wow.
I mean,
yeah.
8, 5, 6.
So then he is the best active player.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of not just hockey, American sports, who doesn't have a championship. Relative to their
conversation. You could put Mike Trout in the conversation. Like, Mike Trout is unbelievable. He doesn't have
I don't think – do you think Trout has an argument for a top 10 hitter in baseball history?
Probably.
Interesting.
His underlying metrics are bananas. That's just what it is. Him, you put him up there. I mean, we don't have to have like Dan Marino conversation of like the greatest to never win kind of thing, but
I'm thinking active, but truly, if you're telling me we've got, and I think that you're probably right that there's a top 5 skater ever McDavid argument, he's probably already number 1.
No,
Marino doesn't have a top 5 quarterback argument. Trout does not have a top 5 hitter argument. There's no way that's true.
You mean top 5 among players who have never won, not top 5 hockey, assuming.
No, I am asking you if Connor McDavid is one of the 5 or 10 or 15, you tell me when to stop, greatest skaters that have ever played in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, 5 is a reasonable, 10, very reasonable.
Yeah. No, so my point is, guys that have, their all-time standing in their respective league who do not have a championship, right?
Yeah.
Like, in the NBA, Chris Paul or James Harden would be number 1, right? But that ship is likely sailed. The Embiid ship is probably sailed, right? Like, there isn't even really a guy that you'd go to in the NBA. I think in baseball right now, you'd go to Judge. Ohtani won one last year. I think Trout, that ship is kind of sailed. I think so. So my point, McDavid, though, is 28. Was in it last year, a gazillion MVPs. Like, if he doesn't win a Stanley Cup within the next 4 years, like, that feels like that might be stunning relative to who he is as an all-time great.
Well, it comes down to what happens after next season when he's UFA and whether or not he stays in Edmonton. That is the big question.
Yeah. I guess time will tell. Where are you? Are you late night involved with the Clippers Nuggets game?
I am. I'm on the Clippers money line. I liked how they played. I'm going to say they definitely didn't play bad in game one, right? I think we'd all agree with that. It's a very close game. I just don't expect the series to be over quickly, and I have it over 5.5 games, whatever it was. It was juiced over 5.5 games, but I have the Clippers winning tonight on the money line. I like the way they played. I want to see a little more scoring from Norman Powell in the second game, not so much from him. Was he 5 of 12 or something like that in game one? A little more scoring from him. Don't have to do so much from Kawhi and Harden. Get the threes going, and I think they tied up.
I'm on the over in that game. I think that the length of the game will more closely resemble the first quarter. A 7-point drop, game one to game two. It's not game 7. It's game 2. I think that number moved way too far, quite frankly. What we will do on the other side of this, because I can't help myself, is see if I rile up Tom as much about Shohei Ohtani as everyone else, and then send you on your way on a lovely Monday night.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's 1A type. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We're about to find out why they don't invite me on Pro Baseball today. Already yelled at one half of that show this morning on Moneyline. We'll see if we can complete the duo. Tom Vecchio here at a Monday night. Tom, the question I pose to you, your take on Shohei Ohtani right now in the National League MVP market.
The price that he's at is fair. Once he gets back on the mound, if that happens, even if he's average to below average, he's going to win the award, and the price is still not good. Like, both things can be true in the scenario. I don't like the price, but I still think he's going to win it. It's very clear. He's going to get on the mound, and if he pitches, again, if he's an average pitcher, if he's pitching plus doing 40 home runs, 90, 100 RBIs, whatever it might be, he's going to win the award. Locking up a plus 200 or whatever it is, plus 250 for 8 months is not something I do. It's not something I'd ever recommend to someone on an award that is voted on. It's not like the season ends and then we cash it. It's not like to lead the league in home runs. It ends, we win. It ends, and then you have to wait, and then you think he's going to win, and he should be winning.
So what I would say to what you said is he was around plus 150. He's now almost at plus 250. If you believe Ohtani takes the mound, he's going to automatically win it, I don't know if I would dislike the number as much as you. If I'm not rewriting history to the people in the back, I said that if the season ended today, he would receive precisely 0 votes. He has no candidacy through the current portion of the season. Say that again?
He would win because that is the media narrative.
If the season ended today?
What, Corbin Carroll's going to win?
I mean, Fernando Tatis should win it unanimously. If the season ended today, he should win the award and would unanimously. What is the case on Ohtani if the season ended today?
The media narrative has already been built since he's in the league that he's going to win it every year as long as he plays. That's just what it is. It's wrong, but that's what it is.
So I actually think it's so bizarre. Like I secretly am the Ohtani respecter. I think that really undercuts what he has done in his career. Ohtani won it last year because he created the 50-50 club. The other 2 MVPs were because he was out there pitching at a high level and hitting at a very, very high level. He has done none of those things this season. He's batting .277 with 6 home runs, 5 steals, and 8 RBI. Last year, he had 50-plus home runs, 50-plus stolen bases, 130 RBI, with batting over 300. That's how he won MVP. He presently has no argument, none, and he wouldn't win it. But my other simple thought was, he's not going 50-50 this year, and for him to win MVP this year, he is going to have to pitch.
Right, so when he goes 40 and 90 in terms of 90 RBIs, and he pitches at even an average level, it's just a shoo-in for the award. That's just what it is. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's what it comes down to. He doesn't have to do 50-50 because he did that last year without pitching. Now he can do less than that plus pitching. He wins the award.
What do you think the home run stolen base count ballpark for me, Tom, is likely on Ohtani this season?
75?
Yeah, break him up, though. Like, do you think that it's...
I think you go 35 home runs and 40-ish stolen bases, somewhere around 40. I would say a range of 70 to 85-ish.
Right. So, again, and this is why I don't know why everyone's so angry at me, and I'll probably find out when our show is over. If he goes 40-40 end pitches, he'll deserve to win. It's not that it will be handed to him. He'll deserve to win MVP.
Yeah, but I don't, again, this is just like personal preference. Locking up plus 250, plus 150 for 8 months, I personally think is an insane idea.
Not if it's 100% going to happen, which is where, again, I don't know. He's not going 50-50. I have my doubts he goes 40-40, and I still think Ohtani pitching has more questions around it than previous. And I think that's fair. The Dodgers are World Series or bust like maybe no team ever before. He didn't do it at all last year, and they didn't need him to. His hitting is clearly more valuable to them than the pitching based on the staff. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe not as contentious as everyone thought it would be. Though, again, I'm pretty sure I'm going to somehow get yelled at and do some yelling when this show is over. Tom, excellent to see you, as always, on a Monday night. Do not forget to get involved on the over in Nuggets, Clippers, Game 2 in the Mile High. Should be a fun one. We'll be in the mix with you right here tomorrow on Game Time Decisions. In-Game Live is next.